Hello and welcome. We are so glad to be here with you. I have Lane Monson and also my sister Rebecca Reeves, and we are just having conversations over the next few weeks as we lead up to the women's events, the next Ignite Women's events, and this year's theme is Be Brave, Be Bold, Be You. And so this week we're going to touch on we're going to touch on the roles that we have as women. And I've had a cold. Actually, I felt like I've had the flu the last couple of days, and now my voice is gone. So it might be better if I talk like this, because then it doesn't sound so crackly. But that's really annoying. I don't know what's more annoying, talking in a higher pitched voice or just letting my crackly voice shine through. But I'll do the best I can. So last week we had talked about nurturing ourselves and filling our own cup. And so we might touch on that a little bit today in this conversation, but we really wanted to focus on the roles that we play in life as women, and where we place our significance and how we show up in those roles.
I love this topic, obviously, of our roles and responsibilities. And with you not feeling well the last couple of days, and you've also been on your cruise, is there anything that you want to share that's kind of an update on on your cruise, and any your experience with your daughter, or in anything that inspirational that might come from that experience, or anything with your being sick the last couple of days?
Yeah, so on the cruise, I just noticed every single person, this is what sparked this conversation, every single person on the cruise was just giving and serving with love. Like everybody was happy. And from the cruise director, who just brought so much energy and made it really fun, his name was TJ, to the person who folded my towels and cleaned our room. He was so loving and giving. And I just thought, oh, wow, I'm gonna cry. Wow. I was very inspired.
That's powerful.
Everyone, it was so powerful to see. And our server at dinner, everyone just served, and you could feel their love. They genuinely loved serving. And sure, they were getting paid for it. Sure, that's their responsibility. But the person folding towels could have thought, well, I'm not the cruise director, so my job is really lame. I'm cleaning toilets, and I'm cleaning up after people. And how often have I felt that as a mother? Like, I'm cleaning toilets or teaching my kids to clean toilets, and I am cleaning up after people or teaching my kids to clean up after themselves. And I think, the love that they served us with in our staterooms and in the cruise, and taking care of all those needs, we would come back to our room and like, oh my gosh, the bed is made. And they pulled this little cute towel into a bear or into a heart on Valentine's Day. And it just made us feel loved, those simple little things. And so I think as a mother, when I have just served with love, and instead of feeling like, oh, I have to do this, oh, this is, starting to let those thoughts turn negative, when I have served with love and like put a little note on their bed, and usually they got to take care of their own but every once in a while I'm seeing like, oh, you know what, they've got up, they've had such a crazy schedule, and so like if I'd go make their bed and put a little note so that they can feel that, and it just totally changes. It is a gift of love. So serving with love in whatever role we are in is powerful. It's so powerful.
That is awesome.
I love that.
I do too. It reminds me, and we had this discussion often as an executive team when I was the CEO at a Via Code, and this has been, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago now, but we used to have the discussion about everyone's role, everyone's responsibilities, and that no one's role was any more important than anyone else's role. And even, the example I used to use is what if the cleaning crew the janitors did not show up for a week. And, what would the floors look like? How would the trash smell? What would the restrooms look like? It would be horrible. Their job is just as important as everyone else's, and it keeps things, the environment, looking clean and clear, and smelling good and looking good, and it was just a great environment that we had to work in. And that was all because we had just such an amazing cleaning crew. And I remember many of them, if I were working late into the evening, that a lot of them were Hispanic and spoke Spanish and not very good English, and I speak Spanish as well, so I would go out of my way to speak to them in Spanish and thank them for the work that they were doing. And the smiles they would have on their faces, and just their attitude, I think, was different, just to know that somebody noticed and cared. So I just love that, serving in whatever capacity, whatever role, with love, not only makes a difference for those that we serve, but I think it makes even a bigger difference to us, to have, the attitude with which we serve. I think makes a huge difference.
Oh, I completely agree. And the reverse is true too. When I am grudgingly doing my parts, whether it's cleaning or teaching and manage my kids, or whether it's in business, it drains me. It drains me, and it drains those around me, and it doesn't uplift anyone. So it takes the same amount of energy. Actually, I think it takes more energy. The more you give to negative forces, the more it takes from you. But the more you give to positive forces, the more you give to love and give and serve with love, the more it gives to you, the more that it builds you. And one thing I've noticed in Rebecca is she really does what she does in love. Like, that is something I've noticed has been a common thread in your life, Rebecca, in all of our life. As my sister, I've seen that in you, and I've seen that shift in you as a mother. So I want to open this up to you. What are some observations and experiences that you have had as a mother and serving with love?
I love that. So I'm going to tell you an experience that happened last night with Harley. So she's my 10-year-old daughter. And back before that, I remember Charity told me, if you listen to them now, they're going to speak to you later. And that runs through my mind so much, is just listen to them. And so I think as a mom, it's our opportunity to catch those little opportunities and to guide them, to teach them in the moment that those things are happening. And so yesterday, as I picked her up from her dad's house, and she was like, "Mom, we were over at so-and-so's house, and I watched a PG-13 movie, and these things are running through my head." Like, there were scary things in my head, and she still held on to those images that were scary to her and really unsettling to her. And I just kind of listened to her and said, "Okay, honey, well, how do you feel now?" And I kind of got her to a point where she kind of calmed down a little bit, and and then a little while later, she just holds her head. We're getting ready for bed, and she was just like, "Mom, I can't have this in my head. It's so scary." I was like, "Okay, well, what can we do about it? What do you want to do about it right now?" So she said, "Let's say a prayer." And so I said, "Who would you like to say the prayer?" And she's like, "I'll say it." And so now she's so comfortable enough to say that. And then I was like, "Okay, well, these are opportunities for us to learn and grow what not to do in life. So how did that make you feel when you watched that movie?" And she explained it, and I said, "Okay, well, how can we learn from that? What did we learn from that? And are you able to walk away when those opportunities happen?" And her little mind just starts to go and starts to think. So it's me tapping into those moments and those experiences and being okay to guide it where it needs to be in that moment. And then she was okay for a little bit. And then I was like, "Okay, well, let's read this book." So I have this book by Deepak Chopra, and it's just thoughts, and it's a children's book, and it goes over thoughts of how to create happiness in your life. And it has really fun, elaborate pictures. And so, seeing different images, how does this make you feel when you see something like this? Or how do you feel when you hear these words? And so it's just asking them questions to get them to think about it. And we're guiding them to where they need to be in life. And, then she was okay. And I came into my bed and she came back and she was like, Mom, I still see them. So I took that moment. Instead of getting upset and frustrated with her, I was there in that moment. Okay, let me hold you. Let me just give you a hug, rub your back a little bit, give you some mama time. And I gave her another book. I said, this book is really fun. It has a lot of fun pictures and it makes you laugh. And I turned it and it was a panda bear with, those 3D glasses. One's red, one's blue. And immediately she started laughing. I was like, all right, let's add some laughter to this. And so it's just seeing different images now. And so she's like, she cracks a little smile and she's like, okay, Mama. So she takes it and she was good the rest of the night. And so I think we have these opportunities to just be in that moment with them, to guide them with love, like you're saying, in the difficult times or whenever it is. And it could be something as, simple as that, just listening and being there for her in that moment. So
Wow,
I
that
love
is
that.
awesome.
Yeah, beautiful moment with her.
Yeah, and just think how that changed. She's going to remember that. She's going to remember that, the way you made her feel and the way you validated, like, hey, it's okay that you felt scary. It's okay that you were in that situation and you, like, that was the first time she's encountered that. Like, here's a scary movie. She didn't know what to do, so she just stayed there and watched. And now you gave her the tools to say, well, next time I can walk out of the room. And next time I'm filled with these scary moments, I have these tools that I can use to combat that and to change the way that I'm thinking, because those thoughts do haunt us. And sometimes we, even in life, get stuck in the quicksand of our youth and past experiences, whether it's trauma or whether it's, being shamed or whatever that is. This is such a simple example that we can draw analogies out of, that we get stuck in those thoughts. We keep repeating and repeating and feeling it over and over again. And our body responds as though it's a current situation, just like she was feeling that fear. Those fears are real. But learning the tools to be able to change what we're thinking, to fill our minds with positive and focus on moving forward rather than replaying the past, is so powerful. Like, that's what you taught her in that moment of just opening up with love and giving her those tools. I think that's really powerful and something we can all learn from.
So how, I agree 100%. I think that's such a perfect example, and an example that plays everywhere, regardless of the role. That what you did there applies equally well with a brother or a sister, with a parent, with a good friend, with coworkers at work, with your employees. Noticing them, caring about them, paying attention to them, listening to them, understanding them, just being more aware. So Charity, how do you, when life is just nuts? I know you've just been, recently on a cruise with your daughter. I know you had a last minute opportunity to do that, and you took advantage of it, and you're go, and then you get home and immediately you're sick for 2 days, and the rest of your family's wanting your time and your attention, and so when life is just crazy, what do you do to get yourself back to that place of not only caring for yourself, but in whatever role you're in, playing that role and serving with love?
It's interesting. I think in the past, and I still have to catch myself doing this, I would struggle with the self-care, because I would feel like, as a mom, as a business owner, I've got to give, I've got to do this. There's all these things on my plate constantly. that I need to get done. And so sometimes we look at self-care as I am taking away from my family, I am taking away from my business because all these things are not getting done. But instead, I've recognized that, and I think we've said this before, we all have a certain amount of energy that, like if you imagine a pitcher of water, we are pouring into our families and into our business, into whatever roles that we play. And so when that becomes depleted, we experience burnouts, and then we don't have anything to give. So I've had to recognize self-care as a way to replenish so that I have to give to my family. And so the last 2 days, as I've been in bed with the flu, and you can still hear that in my voice, I have had to recognize, just like, hey, sorry, kids, you're gonna have to get your own breakfast. And I had, sorry, Triven. I'm not sorry, like, hey, kids, I need to rest. I need to rest. And thank you so much for stepping up and taking care of breakfast, Triven. Or thank you for taking your sister to school today, Triven. He had to leave, about 40 minutes early to take her to school, he and my other teenage son. And I think that's just, as I have shifted into valuing self-care so that I can give and be more present with my family, they have stepped up at times, and they recognize that, like, mom needs a little self-care, that's okay. My daughter sometimes will just say, I need to go sit. I just want to be away from people right now. And that is self-care. Sometimes just like tuning out, getting away. It's very rare for her because she's very, like, hey, come on, let's play. But she's starting to recognize that too. And it's that rest time, that self-care is vital.
So thank you for that. I think that's going to be helpful to many. And Rebecca, I'm now turning to you and thinking about you, and you have your 3 children that you're raising. You're a single mom. You're working, a lot. I think at least 2 jobs and volunteering, and then you're up, you're taking this call, with Charity at 5 a.m. your time, and you have still in front of you, get your kids up, get them ready for school, get to work. What is it that motivates, and there's this balance between self-care and serving and caring for others, but what gets you up and going at 4:30 in the morning so you can do a 5 o'clock call and then take care of everything else that you have during the day? I'd love to just hear a little bit about that. What comes to your heart, your mind?
Yeah, and I love that. And I think it's come with a lot of practice to do that, because for a long time I felt so guilty is taking time away from my kids, working and taking time away from them to do something for me, reading or studying or going somewhere. So I had to shift that in my mind and to say, you know what, if I'm waking up early, I have this time for myself to grow and to learn and to feel so good and create my morning routine and, cheer for myself and celebrate myself. And it was in those moments of hardness and pain and a lot of tears that I, decided to wake up early. All right, I'm setting my alarm, setting it across the room, tripping over my shoes so that I have to lace them up to get ready to, make my day happen before I get my kids out of bed, no matter how exhausted I was. It's that time that I had to, so I had to shift it in my mind to feel, I have this time right now, this opportunity right now to grow, to love myself. And it was the more I did it, the better I felt. I started to build momentum to be okay. I mean, it still sucks sometimes to wake up so early, even, going to bed so late sometimes, but it's that in those moments that I recognize, okay, afterwards, I'm going to feel so good. So it's an after effect that I feel. And so it's like, okay, am I going to eat a bunch of sugar today? And how do I feel after? So it's how to switch it in my mind. I'm going to wake up early today and I'm going to feel so good afterwards. And so it's just that mental shift I had to make in my head, but then I had to apply it day after day after day after day. and see the results after time. So it's, you know, realizing what I needed at that moment, but what it's brought to me, you know, so much love for
Wow.
myself, and then I can give even more to other people.
That is so powerful. There are so many lessons in what you just shared. And one of the thoughts that comes to my mind is there's this acronym WIIFM, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And with what I heard with you is that you have figured out that sometimes sacrificing actually brings benefits to you, and it sounds like actually oftentimes you have figured out how to find the benefit in serving others and in sacrificing your own time and energy. And sometimes that sacrifice is sacrificing your own sleep so that you can, you know, go to the gym, or you can read, or you can study, or you can, you know, watch
Mm-hmm.
a YouTube video that is uplifting, and that you're building muscle day in and day out as you sacrifice something good like sleep for something even better in this case, which is you becoming stronger and you becoming
Mm-hmm.
better. So thank you for sharing that. That's very,
Yeah.
very powerful.
Yeah. And I
So
think the,
yeah,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, one more thing. So I think the biggest thing is noticing that I'm more present with my kids because this isn't on my mind. I've taken care of me.
Mm,
I'm good. I'm solid. And now I can be with my kids. And I think that was the biggest thing, coming home after work and thinking, oh, I got to do this. I want to work out. I want to do this. You know, I need to study here. I need to take care of this. That's not there anymore because I've done it in the morning. And so that's
mm.
off my mind so I could be present and playful with them, you know, and truly myself. So it benefits them so much more if I take care and I take that time to take care of myself.
I totally agree.
Awesome.
I totally agree. I think as a mom, when we're feeling spaced out, or in business, when you're feeling spaced out or whatever role you're in, it's because you haven't been nurturing yourself. And so where is my mind going? It's like, oh, I want to read this. I want to do this, all these other things. I'm like, my mind, I'm over here and my kids are right here saying, Mom, Mom, listen
Mm,
to me. And I have to get back in the present moment out of these, you know, clouds, clouds, and be present. And when I fill that cup first, then I can fill their cups as well. I think that's so beautiful the way that you put it, Rebecca. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. And being okay that if you didn't do your morning routine, that's something I also had to learn and be okay with. If I needed to sleep 1 or 2 days, you know, extra, then I had to be okay during the day with my kids and not feel guilty that I didn't take the time for myself.
Mm.
So vice versa. Mm-hmm.
So
I
true.
think people, you know, anytime we're working on ourselves, we're changing habits, we're improving. Um, I and I can't remember if I read it or if I heard it, but somebody was talking about New Year's resolutions, and you know, now we're midway through February. We just had Valentine's Day this last weekend, and you know, people set these big goals and they're all excited and they're ready to go, and they go to the gym the first day, or they eat a little bit healthier, or they go to bed a little bit earlier, or you know, some other habit that they're trying to change. And then 3 or 4 days into it, you know, they don't feel like getting up early to go to the gym, or they, you know, eat 3 extra pieces of pizza at the office, you know, when they brought in lunch, or had a couple of donuts because they were sitting there. And now, you know, the whole thing goes out the window because they either made a mistake or you know, didn't follow through. And rather than just saying, you know what, I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes, it's okay, give myself a little bit of a break, and then start from that moment doing better. And then you build that mental and emotional and physical muscle to where it becomes easier and easier, and we fall off the wagon, so to speak, you know, less often. And so many people just beat themselves up and quit, and they say, oh, I can't do it, versus I can and I will, and and I want to do it. That's what I heard with you, Rebecca, is I really want to do this. It's not that I have to, or I'm being forced to, or doing it out of obligation, but I really want to do this, and you just keep moving forward. So Charity, I know today we were going to talk about different roles that we play, and it's kind of morphed into how we do whatever we do, and with what attitude we take, and then a little bit more of an extension on last week's topic, which was on self-care. Where would you like to go from here? And
one thing that came to mind was when you were talking about, with Rebecca, you said, I don't have to do this, I want to do this. I think it's really important how we approach our roles. And so in our mind, in our heads, we think, oh, I have to clean, I have to do this, I have to take care of this, I have to do that. And that, when we feel like we have to do something, we naturally want to rebel against it and fight against it. It's human nature.
Amen.
So changing the way that we even talk to ourselves and saying, I don't have to do any of this. I don't have to get out of bed. I don't have to make my kids breakfast. I don't have to wash their clothes. They can wash their own dang clothes or pull them out of the dirty laundry. But I want to. I choose to do this. And there's power in choice. Choosing is empowering. And it totally changes the way that we approach things. So I think what you said there was really key. Like, I choose to do this. I choose to do this with love. And that makes a huge difference in the way that we show up in our roles in life.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know we had a conversation on Marco Polo over the last couple of days, just thinking about our roles. And clearly the two of you, one of the roles that you really value the most and is most important to you is your role as mothers. And one of the things that I've noticed, of course, I'm not a mother, never will be a mother, and impossible for me to fully understand and to feel what it's like to be a mother. And I've heard so many mothers over time, and especially if it's a mother that is not working a full-time job or doesn't have her own business, that so what do you somebody asks, what do you do, kind of like what roles do you have, or what is your job? And the response is, well, I'm just a mom, or I'm just a wife, or I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I don't have a job. And I've thought about that over and over and over again, and looked at it from a different perspective, because I can't imagine any job in the world that a woman could have, whether it's CEO of a company, or Queen of England, or president or CEO of a company, that is more important than that career of being a mother. And as a mother, you're a leader, you're a trainer, you're a developer, you are an encourager of hearts. You're a finance manager and director. You're responsible for budget. You're responsible for purchasing. You have all the logistics to work through. And even if you are a mother and you have another full-time role, or even a part-time role in a business or a company, it's a lot of responsibility. And I just can't imagine anything being more important than that. And and if you've got a college degree or an advanced degree, that's wonderful, and it serves you in your job or your career outside of your home. But that career as a mother, I think, is the most important, because every one of those kids is going to go on to be a part of society, and they can either be productive or not productive in your what you teach them, and where you lead them as their their leader. I always say that my mom was my first executive coach, and she was, and she was amazing, and a big part of who I am today and my successes because of her. So that's a role that comes to mind that I think a lot of women downplay. And what if you could respond, well, the career I've chosen is to be a mother, and I think that's my most important job. And oh, by the way, I also play the piano, or I also dance, or I'm also CEO of this company. But my real career, my most important career, is as a mother. So that's just one thought that comes to me on roles.
I
love that.
Let's
motherhood is a choice. It's a choice, and how we look at it is a choice, and it really is a career from my perspective, and it's the most important career that a woman can have, because you can have a college degree, or you can have an advanced degree, and you can use that to go into the workforce, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, some of my favorite people that I've ever worked with are women, and great leaders that I've had, and bosses and coworkers, and women that have reported to me, and they do such an amazing job, and they just bring this energy and this force into the into the work world. And yet I think about the impact that mothers have on their children, and the impact that my mother had on me. And I know I've shared with you that my mother was my first executive coach, and I really view her as that, and so much of who I am, and what I've been able to accomplish in the world is because of her. And that I'm so grateful that she viewed motherhood as not, oh, I'm just a mother, because she was full-time mom and homemaker, and did not work outside of the home. And I never viewed her as less than, because she made that choice. And yet I really respect those mothers that are able to be a great mom for their children, and to be there and present for them, and to teach them and guide them, and also work full-time or part-time, or volunteer. So those were some of my thoughts. So Charity, where do you want to take that, just in terms of the different roles that we have, and how we view them?
I love that. I think the way the world views motherhood has shifted. It's been kind of a rocky road, for sure. And we are not in our today society. We're very isolated as mothers. We're not in our tribes as mothers, coming together, like, oh, we're all doing the wash together. We're all, taking turns. And so I think it makes it really difficult, because we're isolated. And so me and my isolation at home, feeling like, well, I'm just doing this mundane thing. It's easy to start dismissing our roles as mothers and as nurturers. And I remember when we lived in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina, my husband, we had 3 little boys at the time, and my husband was called in to help organize some of the efforts to repair and restore after Katrina. So they were out sawing logs, pulling out debris, helping pull out, the items that had been flooded, getting them out of the houses, helping restore roofs. Like, he was helping organize those efforts. And I remember, as a young mom, my youngest was 8 months, and my oldest was probably 5. So 3 little boys. And I remember catching myself thinking, oh my gosh, he's out saving the world, saving this community. And here I am, I'm just home with these kids. Like, what more can I do? What do I want to, I want to get out there and do more. And I was starting to diminish my role as a mother. And I had to catch myself. And I remember sitting there going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, sorry, I'm going to tear up. if everything was wiped away, would I want to have my boys back, or would I want to have, the power drill tools in my hand, clearing out debris and saving the world? Like, if everything was wiped away, would I want that significance in helping other people repair their roofs, or would I want my kids with me? To me, my kids are the most important. And so sometimes we have to catch ourselves. I think it's important to recognize that sometimes we diminish our own role because of what we're thinking, because of how we're comparing what others are doing, and we attach significance to their roles, and then we think, well, I'm just a mom. The world may or may not change their view on motherhood or on women. I think it's shifting in a positive direction, but we have got to change that for ourselves, the way we view ourselves. And then just one more quick story. I recently went to a business conference, and I, met a lot of people, like, what do you do? CEOs, this, that, I do all this. And one woman who really stood out to me, I said, okay, so tell me what you do. We were chatted for a little while, just had a great conversation. And finally I was like, oh, so tell me what you do. Where do you work? And she got the biggest smile on her face, and she just looked me in the eye with so much excitement. She said, I've got the best job in the world. I am a mom. And that makes me
gave me the
tear up too.
chills.
It gave me the chills too. And I hugged her. I said, can I just hug you? Because that really filled my soul. When I was a young mom, it was really hard for me to say, well, yeah, I'm a mom. I didn't have that type of confidence and value in my own work as she did. And I said, if every mother could just stand up and say, I'm a mom. I am a mom. That is so powerful and so important for us to recognize our roles and the importance and how important they are as a mom. Again, like I said, if everything was wiped away, if my business was wiped away, if my home, everything was gone, what would I want? I would want my kids. I would want my husband. I'd want my family. That is the core of everything I do and everything that I want. And sometimes I get distracted in those desires and in what I value. And I have to go back to, like, what really is important, what matters. It is my role as a mother.
Yeah, the career you have chosen is motherhood. And oh, by the way, you have these other things that are also important, but you've chosen that career, both of you. It's pretty awesome.
That's a beautiful way to put that.
Yeah, I love that.
So, Rebecca, I just wanted to ask you real quick, what are some things that come to mind when it comes to the roles that you play in your life and the significance that you place on them, how you show up?
Yeah, so I would say this comes to my mind a lot is because years ago, so my oldest daughter is 10 and my youngest son, he is 6. So been a mom for almost, her birthday's next week, so almost 11 years. And throughout that time, it's taken me a long time to love to be a mom. I mean, of course, you first have your child, you love them more than I remember holding Harley and thinking, I don't think I could love anyone this much before ever. But being a mom and that role as a mom and not having a career really at that time, or I think what a career that I should be in, at that time, I really downplayed my role as a mom. So I didn't like being a mom. It took me so long, years and years and years, till I realized what a big difference I'm making in my kids' lives. And to be okay, to be present, and to love where I'm at, no matter where I'm at. And that's made the biggest difference in my life and my kids' life. And instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to do this, I need to do that, it's stepping into the present moment and being okay. I'm a mom, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I'm doing all these things, I'm volunteering, but most importantly, I am a mom. And so one example I want to share with you is when I was younger, when I first had my kids, I wouldn't sing to them. I wouldn't really talk to them. I wouldn't do the goo goo gaga. You know, I was so I was filled with so much, yeah, like guilt and shame for having kids without being married and in this relationship. And that's what took over my mind versus really being present and being there for them and loving them as a mom, no matter where I'm at. So that guilt and shame really ate me up so much. And I know that was a mental game holding on to me. And now, like changing things in my life, making better decisions, stepping into my power, loving who I am, and doing things that really make my life, making choices that make my life better, help me become a better mom. And I remember the shift was a few years ago when I was hanging out with this guy and I saw him. We were at his house and his son was doing some homework on the computer and his son needed some help. And right away, his dad is like, yeah, how can I help you? You know, he was so happy to help and serve his child at that moment. And it happened again and again. I was like, that is amazing. And I remember telling him, like, wow, you are such a good dad that you just love and you want to be with him. And like it shifted so much in my mind that I can love my kids the same. I could be there for them and I could be excited to serve them and love them. And I was just so blown away at his example. And it was through that, like years and years, seeing him like that with his kids. I mean, it was consistent. He showed up for them. He loved them. Like I remember him coming back at that moment and he said, yeah, they're my best friends. Why, like, I'm so lucky to be their dad. I'm so blessed to be their dad. They're my best friends. And that's what shifted in my mind to think, oh my gosh. And then I started saying that my kids are my best friends. My kids are my best friends. I'm so blessed to be their mom. And with that verbal language, it shifted in my mind too, and in my heart, how I show up to them, how I love them, and how I'm there for them. And so it's just, I think that was the biggest thing, is jumping into that role with gratitude, with love, and knowing they're my best little buddies.
So Charity, I have a thought and a follow-on question for Rebecca. I think that is amazing, and you know how powerful those lessons from that friend of yours and the behavior that he modeled for you that just had not even occurred to you previously in how to look at your children and your role as a mother for your own children. And then, you know, I was thinking, you know, with your audiences, you know, Charity and Rebecca, and especially the women that you know that you serve and that you influence every day, and that focus. There are a lot of single moms out there, and it's, you know, whether, you know, in some cases, you know, your husband passes away and now all of a sudden you're, you know, you're there and you're the mom, and you don't have that partner with you. In many cases you're married and end up divorcing for, you know, any one of a number of reasons. And in some cases you just start having children, you know, before you're married, or choose not to be married, and then, you know, somehow there's a separation and you're no longer together with the father and the mother. And so what advice would you give, Rebecca, to those single mothers out there that are listening or watching today, and who may have the opportunity to attend your event in April? What advice would you give to them in their role as a single mother versus maybe those who are married or have a partner with them?
I love that. I would say, through my experience, it's connecting with people that are moving forward that you would love to be like, you know, in that sense of what are their qualities, what are their characteristics, how do they show up in life, and being around that atmosphere, because you're seeing things differently. You're seeing how they're really implementing these things in their life with their children. So I think that has been a huge thing for me, is to recognize that, because when I saw that and heard that, that's when it shifted in me. And so, and then also being okay with wherever you're at in life, that's the most perfect place. And knowing that your worth does not change no matter what has happened, no matter what you have been through, you're always at a 10. Your worth is always a 10. No matter if you're married, not married, single, you know, it doesn't matter. Your worth is at a 10. And when you hold it there and you recognize that, those problems start to fade away, because you're standing in your power and who you are, and you're owning that. And your kids will start to feel that. They'll start to shift. Your relationships with them will start to shift into something even more beautiful and more powerful. And then also being in that moment wherever you're at and listening, like Charity taught me years ago, is if you listen to your children now, they will speak to you later on. And so it's taking that time, that initiative right now at this moment, no matter what has happened, is to listen to your children's voices. You know, be there with them, look in their eye, pay attention to them, and do the littlest things for them. Like Charity writes notes. My daughters love notes. You know, hey, I love you. And it just opens something up. Because I think a lot of time we start to get into our head and say, oh, my kids don't like me. They never listen to me. So it's shifting it in your head and then acting that out. So take initiative first. Okay, I'm going to write a little love note, or I'm going to get a little gratitude journal and leave it at their bed, or slide it under their door, or stick it on the mirror, or on my mirror. I have a marker by my bathroom mirror, and everyone's allowed to write on it, write a message to everyone. And so they're writing, I love you, or you're the best mom ever, I love my family. You know, so it's the littlest things that you could do. So be present in the moment, hang out with people, that surround yourself with people that are moving forward, and being grateful for where you're at. You're at a 10 right now.
Yeah. Wow, that is awesome. And the word that comes to my mind is awareness. We can only make choices and do things that we're even aware of that are choices. And it's so easy for us in any role to get stuck with what we're doing and the way we're doing it now. And until we raise our level of awareness and talk to other people and listen to them and observe them, we're just going to keep doing the same things over and over, because that's what we're aware of, that's what we know, that's what we understand. So that's the lesson I just learned from you, is no matter what we're doing, if it's not quite working the way we want it to, or whatever role we're in, seek role models and seek guidance and advice for others, because it's amazing how our world can open up when we're open to that. So Charity, what are your thoughts on I know this topic has been important to you on our roles. What are some of the different roles that have been on your mind, and what can you share with us today, just in terms of where your mind has been taking you on the topic of different roles?
Well, right now in this moment, what's coming to mind is, before we are business owners, before we are mothers, before we are wives or girlfriends or friends, before we are anything else, we are women. We are women. So whether you have kids or you don't have kids, whether you choose to, or you're in a situation where you can or can't have children, as women, we are natural nurturers towards others. We are rock stars at that. We are wired to nurture others. And so whatever role we play, we need to quit comparing where someone else is and where I am not, and stand firm in our identity as a woman, as a freaking rock star of a woman who has power to change the world. Yeah, Rebecca.
Yes.
We have power. We are so powerful as women, and there are so many forces that are trying to drag us down, trying to diminish us and make us feel like we are a 1 or a -10, when no matter what happens to us, I love what you said, Rebecca, no matter what happens to us, or what we have chosen in the past, or what we're struggling with, what our challenges are, that is not who we are. That does not define us. We are a 10. We are a rock star no matter what is happening around us. And so I think it's so important to recognize that before anything else, you're a woman and you rock and you are a 10 right now, not if this happens or when that happens or because of. You are a 10 in every sense of the word. And so if we as women can stand firm and be brave as a woman, be bold as a woman, and be who we are no matter where we are, the world will change. It does change because of women. And I think just recognizing that when we link arms together as women and as humanity, we really empower others and we empower ourselves. As we become empowered, we naturally will empower our families, our husbands, our children, our boyfriends, our whoever is surrounding us, whoever we are with. We will naturally empower our businesses and our communities and the world. So as a woman, I think it's important to remember that you are amazing and your role, no matter what it is important and it is significant. So do not compare yourself with others. Stand firm in that, in who you are.
Pretty awesome. And what I'm hearing from both of you is this concept of your value, first as a human being, and right behind that as a female, as a woman. And I think a concept that a lot of people really don't grasp, especially in this day and age. You've both talked about, you are a 10, and I think the world sometimes looks at women, and you're only a 10 if you have that perfect body shape, that perfect size. You have the cover girl, the hair's perfect, the makeup is perfect. You have that perfect weight, perfect proportions, and so few men and women, but so few women have all of that perfection that that would be a 10 from an appearance perspective, an outward appearance. And there is so much more to a woman and to human beings than just that outward appearance, or the house that you own, or the car that you drive, or the clothes that you wear, or the level of education that you have. And as women and as human beings, every single one of you has infinite value, even regardless of the choices that you make and where you contribute in the world. It is infinite. It is not changing. It's that intrinsic value that you're born with. And I think a lot of people either are not aware of that or they forget about that. So start from there, that I am valuable and I have value regardless of anything else, and then build upon that. So I'm really glad both of you shared that. And so if you look at yourself as a 10 from that perspective and value, regardless of whether your hair's brushed or you've got your makeup on, or whether you're in perfect proportions or not, I just it just brings a lot more happiness and fulfillment to the women I've met that come from that place.
Absolutely.
And
I totally agree.
I agree too, and
So,
I love that.
So
you
Rebecca,
said that.
what roles, obviously you've talked about your role as a mother, but you're also, you volunteer in some amazing organizations. You're working a couple of jobs to cover your costs and your expenses, with your children. It's not inexpensive raising 3 children on your own. So what other roles do you play in your life besides that role of mother, and how do you approach those other roles?
I love it. So I do. Volunteering is where I love it. It's where my heart is. I volunteer on the board of Building Utah Youth, which is facilitating leadership training programs for teens. Very similar to the training we went through, Lane. And so that's just near and dear to my heart, you know, after losing my brother from suicide, but gaining so much from that as an opportunity to grow and learn and to see, okay, where can I apply this pain and serve other people? And so that's where that came from. And also volunteering at Youth Impact in Ogden, and then women's shelters, you know, helping women realize who they are, empowering women to realize who they are. You know, I think kind of to touch on your intrinsic value is where the most attractive thing about someone else is their confidence in who they have. So knowing that you're at a 10. And so this is something that I integrate and teach throughout where I go. So I'm in the beauty industry, teaching in the beauty industry, and then also coaching with that. So it's all, you know, it's all the similar thing. Whatever I'm learning at this seminar and training, I'm teaching at through my coaching, through my teaching, to these youth. You know, it's catered a little bit different where it needs to go, but this is my message. My heart is there at every place that I go. You know, I'm loving and serving my students as I'm teaching them, you know, and that's so important, is who they are. When they first start, I tell them this is the most beautiful journey you're going to have to discover who you truly are. And from when you start to when you're finished, you're going to find out you are more yourself. When you finish, you're going to have more confidence than you've ever had before, because you're physically applying these things, but mentally and emotionally, you're connecting to something so much more than you ever thought that you could. And you're physically doing these things. And so it's, you know, it's all customer-based industry, of course. Wherever we go, it's customer-based industry, but we're loving and serving these people that are in our chairs right at that moment. We are building up who we are so that we can serve them. And so, and it doesn't matter where I'm at, whether I'm coaching at that moment, whether I'm teaching at that moment with my students, or whether I'm volunteering, it's the same message woven through. You know, we're giving with love, but we fill ourselves up with first.
I love that. And so what I'm hearing is that regardless of the role, you can approach, you can take a similar approach in every single role. And you said something, you said, you know, I'm in the beauty industry, and we were just talking about, you know, what does it mean to be a 10 as a woman? And what came to my mind is you are in the beauty industry, and it's not just the hair and makeup part of the beauty industry. You're in the internal and external beauty industry. And how you choose to serve others is very much in a holistic beauty fashion, versus just, do you have the right makeup and is your hair done just right? So I love that. You're everywhere you go, you're in the beauty industry. So Charity, what about you? What about you and roles that you have outside of being a mother? I know you also volunteer. I know that you know, you've created these events, you've written a book, you do keynote speaking, you do coaching and help business owners develop their businesses. So what thoughts come to your mind in terms of your approach in some of those other roles?
Well, first of all, I love what you said about being in the beauty industry. Like, that, so many layers, like the beauty inside and out. And there is beauty. There's nothing more beautiful and powerful than what Rebecca said, seeing someone who has that confidence. Like, those are the people who really attract others. When someone walks in the room confidently and shows up genuinely as themselves, not trying to pretend, you can feel that. You can feel when someone is sincere and genuine. And so no matter what role I play, what I do is help people believe in themselves. You know, one of my taglines is, I believe in you. Do you? Because so many people don't. And quite often what I found is, you know, we have this, like, here's this concept of who I feel like I am, and then here's who I feel like I need to be. And so we're in this tug of war, going back and forth, not moving laterally, not moving forward. We're just kind of stuck. We feel stuck when we don't feel like we can stand firm in who we are. And so when we close that gap and say, okay, who are you really? let's get rid of all this garbage of who you think you need to be, or who people have said you are, or who people expect you to be, and close that gap. And when you do that, you no longer have that tug of war, you're moving forward. And then people are attracted to that energy of being authentic, of being true to who you are. So I think in all the roles, it is helping people believe in themselves. And there's beauty. You want to tie in the beauty. There's beauty in that, and power.
Yes, there is. There's beauty and there's power in that. So, as we kind of wrap up today, both of you are just such great examples of that. And I think about even your Facebook group, with empowering women and empowering women's mindset, because it all starts with our thoughts, and then those thoughts lead to our words and how we talk about ourselves and what we do in our different roles, and then that leads to our actions lead to results in our circumstances. And so we can take that either upward and forward, or downward, or backwards. So I love how you just even talk about this. We can be stuck, or we can be moving forward. And that's really a lot of what I envision women getting out of not only the Facebook group, but also this event in April. So maybe you could wrap up by just sharing, not only will you be talking about women and their different roles, and about self-care, which we discussed last time, but also just working on the mindset and that confidence and that inner and outer beauty, and a little bit more detail on how to find out more about the conference.
Yeah, that's great. So we are in these conversations we're having, we are just touching the surface here. We're just touching the surface here. So at the event, we are going to dive deep and help you create those shifts inside, so that you can stand firm in who you are, in your roles, whatever you play, so you can feel like a 10 every day, no matter what's going on externally, internally. We need to make that change so that we can feel and experience being a 10, showing up in the world as a 10, and also being gentle with ourselves, and not judging and shaming ourselves or others. So to learn more about the event, go to braveboldyou.eventbrite.com, and you can read about the event, you can read testimonials about the other events, and you can get your tickets. The first women's event I did sold out. And so get your tickets. This will sell out. We have a limited spots this year, and it'll be an event like no other. It'll transform your life and help you be more brave, more bold, and become the best version of yourself. And you'll go away with the tools that you need to continue the journey. It is not one and done. You're not going to come to this event and be done working on yourself for the rest of your life, but you will have the tools that you need to continue this journey.